13 years ago, if you had met me in the campus of Federal University of Technology, Owerri, you would have seen a young woman in a hurry. I was a fourth-year student at the time, and I was also the course rep of mathematics department, so I was always planning, moving, and always studying at the time. To the outside world at that time, I was just another ambitious young woman striving for her second-class upper degree. But internally, honestly, I was running a race against anxiety. You see, before I got into university, my dad had passed away, and his death affected my family, not just emotionally, but also financially. I remember clearly when my mom was planning the burial, and I could see the strain in my mom's eyes and the struggle when it came to raising my sisters and I. And that stirred something within me internally. I made a silent vow that no one knew until today that no matter what happens, I was going to make it in life. In fact, I would talk to myself so much and say things like, Chiaka, you have no choice. You have to help mommy. You have to be what we like to call Omeka Naya, just like her father, the breadwinner in my family. And I will work really hard. In fact, I set an audacious goal back then. I said I was going to build a house for my mom. And for me, that house represented so much more than just a physical building. It represented what I felt would be stability and also wealth. And that was how I defined success for me in my fourth year and all through university. For me, success was accumulating wealth, accumulating asset, and all of that. But you would think that with all this ginger, with all the hard work, striving really hard, I'll become like an overnight success or like a CEO or tycoon. But that's not how life works, really. Life does not follow the linear path. Guess what? After graduation, I did not immediately land any role as a CEO. I found myself in the classroom. I became a teacher. And with what society says today, if you were to really look at it, I'm trying to build wealth and a house for my mom. Teaching it doesn't really fit the profession that would get me there. In fact, when I would tell my friends or people that care to know, oh, what do you do, Chiaka? I would say, oh, I'm a teacher. I'm teaching in the classroom. Guess what they always say? Oh, you're a teacher. Okay. Your reward is in what? Heaven, exactly. So my reward would always be in heaven, not necessarily on earth. And sometimes that would affect me. But guess what? I did stay in the profession. I remained in the classroom, and I stayed on for months, even for years, until something changed in the way I saw what success would really be. And I remember clearly when that change happened for me. It was when I was teaching one of my favorite students to date. His name is Bam Bam Ayobami. We were trying to figure out how to solve a problem, and Ayobami was struggling a lot with understanding what I was teaching him. You could tell that he was really frustrated, and it wasn't just getting to him. He wasn't confident. Each time I would teach him the concept, he would withdraw. His self-esteem would go further down. We kept on trying and trying and trying until creatively we found a solution. And when we found that solution, I noticed something happened in Ayobami's eyes. It felt like the light bulb came up. And each time we would work on one math problem or another, Ayobami became more confident. It felt like he could fly. At some point, when we finished the program or the lesson, Ayobami gave me a tight hug. And honestly, that was the best hug I've ever received while teaching. And it stayed with me and changed how I saw success. So when I got home that day, I thought about what happened, my experience with Ayobami, and I then realized that truly, okay, while I'm really striving to build a house, and I was obsessed with building a house for my mom, I realized something that I didn't realize even over the years of teaching. I was actually building people. I was actually shaping the lives of how children see themselves. I was actually leaving a positive imprint in the mind of my young learners, and that changed how I saw success. I then realized that, okay, while building a house felt like an accolade, something for me, but when I shape the life of these children, when I build these people up, whether academically, social, emotional learning, and whatnot, I was actually making real impact. And that was what I wanted to strive for. Well, if you fast forward today, I'm no longer in the classroom, I'll be very honest. I have pivoted from the classroom and I work in the boardroom, as a matter of fact. I am the growth lead in an edtech space, also the customer success manager. And just recently, I completed my MBA with a specialization in artificial intelligence. And you would say, oh, Chiaka, you've actually acquired so many accolades in that regard. I mean, one thing that really stood out for me recently is the fact that I was privileged to become the program manager for the Let There Be Teachers Conference. And that particular program conference stood out for me because we did something really phenomenal in Nigeria. We gathered thousands of teachers, and we didn't just gather thousands of teachers, we actually did set a Guinness World Record, the first of its kind. We became the largest gathering of teachers in the world, and we're the current Guinness World Record holders in that regard. Now, if you look at it, you're like, oh, that's amazing, Chiaka. I mean, it's nice to have a Guinness World Record stunt or stint in your certificate. It's a nice line. But that magic I felt while I was teaching Ayobami, I still felt that while I was in the midst of teachers. For me, it wasn't about the accolade or the plaque that we got. It was about the energy in the room, celebrating teachers, helping teachers to see their worth, seeing the light come back in the eyes of the teachers. Because if you really look at it, teachers in Nigeria really have been unheard or not necessarily celebrated. So for me, that made me really happy. And that still brought back what I defined success to be, making real impact. And it taught me a good lesson that while the certificate I got from the Guinness World Record will probably gather dust, but the impact we made in the life of those teachers, celebrating them, that new energy that they got, that they would use to impact the next generation, that actually gathered momentum. And that's the conflict we have in today's world. I like to say that we live in a world where it looks like we're living in a LinkedIn world, where we sort of like optimize our lives to really seek the validation of others or the other people. We like to maybe create posts that would gather thousands of likes. We also like to look for things about, oh, we've made a new job, we've gotten a new promotion, we've gotten an award and all of that. Well, that is really good. It is not what we should really strive for. And as a result of that fear, a lot of us feel that when we are average, then we are not doing something extraordinary. But the thing is this, when we strive for shining new things, when we make these posts, when we seek the validation of others, while that is great, it doesn't warm us or keep us warm at night, and it doesn't necessarily change the world. So this is what I feel we need to do, and here is what I am suggesting. I want us to challenge what the world or the system defines success should be. I want us to really think about it. If we were to die or leave the world today, what do you think will remain, really? Do you think it's your job title? I mean, we keep seeing tweets that says, oh, someone died or passed away and the job post has gone up. Or do you think it's the money you have in your bank? Your next of kin might probably blow the money or eat it in record time. Or is it the degree you're striving for? It would be nice to hang it on the wall, but again, it is just a degree. I personally think that we should really strive, or the true measure of our life should not be about what we are accumulating. It should really be about what we are impacting, how we impact the next people. And a lot of us are concerned that, okay, impact has to be one grand gesture. We have to be the next Melissa Gates. We have to be the next Oprah, saying things like, you get a gift. We don't have to do that. I think when we're making impact, it could sometimes it's very quiet. It could be something as small as you giving a warm advice or a kind advice or a listening ear to your partner or your friend when they really need it. It could be about you giving chances to people who do not have a chance. I mean, when we have the means, giving other people a chance to learn from us, mentorship, that is what impact really should feel like. And yes, I still want to give my mom the world. I strongly believe that my mother, Charity, deserves the best thing in the world. And I still strive hard to provide that. But for me, what I've realized is that the greatest honor I can ever give my mom is not just about building a house for my mom, but really it is about ensuring that the values that she has given me is being reflected in the people that I help. And that for me is what impact really should be. So before I end my talk, before you leave the hall, I really want everyone to please think deep and change the metrics you might have had. Just like me in university, you might have set yourself up for what metrics should be like. I mean, what success, the metrics for your life should really be like. And I personally believe that it shouldn't be about you accumulating accolades or even about trying to harvest whatever it is you've planted, but it should really be about you planting. Now, I'm not saying that you should not be ambitious. That is not what the point of this talk is. No, I'm not saying that you should not set a Guinness World Record or get your MBA or even aspire to even improve your career. It's good to have all of that. It's good to be ambitious, but it shouldn't be your master. It should be a byproduct of what your service to humanity should really be. So please, everyone, before I end my talk one more time, let's strive our best to not just think about receiving accolades to impress people. Let's seek to impact people, because if you really look at it, accolades tend to fade, if we're being honest. But when you make real impact, it echoes not just for the next generation, but for the generations to come. Thank you.